Back to school coming up, and some Clark research has shown that a lot of Australian children are simply wearing the wrong shoes. Not only the wrong shoes, but the wrong size. And in fact, just about every decision that some parents are making is wrong. Let's talk to Brenden Brown about some of the problems with fitting our kids into school shoes. Brenden is a leading Australian podiatrist and joins us on the weekend. Brenden, thanks for your time.
And thank you for having me.
Mate, I guess all parents and grandparents know that this shoes caper is a difficult one for us to deal with, and the one size fits all for a whole school year doesn't work, really, does it?
No, look, it doesn't. It'd be lovely to think that you could buy one pair of shoes and it'd last the whole year. But look, what you're in fact doing is, most of the time parents are buying a shoe that's way too big for their little one at the beginning of the year. They're tripping, they're falling, it's uncomfortable, they're getting all sorts of problems through the beginning of the first part of that year, and which can then, therefore, lead to more problems as life goes on. So it's a bad move to put your kid in one shoe, hoping that it will last the entire year.
And not only is it uncomfortable for the kid, but it makes them rather self-conscious, doesn't it? Because if they're clumsy, they feel like they're a bit unco and their mates are going to gig them about it.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt. Look, can I say, I think this is one of the things that we don't pay enough attention to, and it's one of the things I, as a podiatrist, talk to my patients about all the time. You know, in the times where we're struggling to get kids to go outside and off a computer console, you want your kids to be feeling confident when they're playing sport. You want them to be confident in the playground. If they're in a shoe that's uncomfortable or hasn't been fitted properly for them, then in fact they're less likely to in fact want to do what they should be doing, which is being outside with their mates playing sport. One of the things that Clark's footwear research was showing is that these kids are in fact getting anything from irritability in the classroom to headaches and lower back pain. And look, that's not a problem for now, but it can be a problem for years to come if these kids don't become socially able to do those things.
I can understand ill-fitting shoes leading to things like back pain and maybe blisters on the feet, but there's also a link to childhood obesity, which I find a little hard to justify. So can you do that for me? How is an ill-fitting shoe going to add to a risk of obesity in childhood?
Yeah, sure. In fact, I think it's quite easy. If you in fact grab little Johnny, pop him in a shoe that's not fitted, it's too big or it's too wide or it's too tight, little Johnny then gets into the playground and decides that he's going to start playing handball or play footy, because at school, our school shoe is everything. It's a handball shoe, it's a soccer shoe, it's everything. He then goes to do it and he in fact finds out that his foot is massively uncomfortable. He gets pain in his lower back or he gets pain in his feet, and so he just stops playing sport. Every time that we teach a kid that he can't play sport comfortably, then that's another occasion where that kid's got a bad experience, and so therefore, as time goes on, he doesn't want to play sport at other times. We're trying to get kids more active. This is in fact stopping them from being more active unless they're fitted in a really well-fitted shoe. If you're not active and then we're eating too much, then you get obesity. And look, I think it's in fact happening more and more because we're not putting kids in the right size shoes.
Over here in WA, we're going through a heat wave at the moment, and you think about getting kids back into the classrooms. The feet are going to be very, very hot, and they'll swell in the foot. Do you need to take reference to that sort of risk for the school year for children when you fit them out with shoes?
Yeah, look, for sure. I always recommend to my patients that when you're going to get your school shoes fitted, do it at the end of a day. Mostly at the end of the day, our feet are that little bit more swollen, they're a little bit bigger. Whenever you're trying to fit a shoe, if you have them properly fitted, like that we talk about the Clark's fitters, these guys are specifically trained to in fact make sure that these shoes are fitted to the kids properly. They'll always get your child to stand up, because when you're in fact standing up, your foot will in fact expand, so up to half the size bigger when you're standing up. So at the end of the day, making sure they're standing when they're fitting it, and just checking things like widths and etc. People that are in fact now experts at doing this fitting are the people to go and see.
What about half sizing for kids? Is it necessary, or can you generally find a school shoe, Clark's or another brand of a size X, Y or Z without being X and a half or Y and a half?
No, look, once upon a time there was this understanding that half size meant the width, but in fact, if you look at most really good reputable brands, then you'll find that the brands actually look at their width, so they'll be A, B, C, D, E, G, double E, etc., etc. So the fitting is more about width and length. I would pay special attention to half sizes in regards to length, but the most important thing, and particularly for kiddies in Australia, I think we're not realising it, but we're getting kids with really nice broad feet these days. We want to make sure that their width is fitted as well. I think that's really important.
How do we stop children's arches from dropping? I mean, you see a lot of the flat-footed kids around these days. Is there something we can do about it?
Yeah, look, people always say to me, one of the common cries from GPs these days is, oh, look, don't worry about flat feet, they'll grow out of them. My response is, if all kids grow out of flat feet, how come so many adults have them? Look, arches don't necessarily drop. What they do is they don't necessarily form properly.
Yeah.
A flat arch isn't going to necessarily, or flat feet aren't necessarily going to give you problems. However, if you want to talk about flat feet and problems, then you should be thinking about, does Johnny play in the playground okay? Does he keep up with his peers? Does he get any pain? And does he trip or fall? If he gets any of those things and he has flat feet, then that's when I, as a podiatrist, start to worry, and then I'll treat him. But if he's just got flat feet by himself, then in fact you can live perfectly happy with those. It's just the associated problems with it that we tend to try to manage now.
I personally prefer to wear a slip-on shoe, but obviously in terms of school shoes, generally they are lace-ups. Are lace-ups the best for school children's feet?
Yeah, look, these are the foundation years. These are the years when we really need to get the kids in the very best school shoe you can afford. These bones in these kids, as I said, foundation years, these kids' bones are still cartilage. They're not fully formed if you took an X-ray. So in fact, what you want to do is you want to get this kid in a really supportive shoe. The best supportive shoe that you can get at this stage is generally a lace-up shoe. I'm sitting here in a pair of boots with elastic sides. Mm-hmm. So I love an elastic-sided shoe too, but I would never put my kids in an elastic-sided boot or a slip-on shoe, particularly before the age of sort of 14, 15.
So don't take any risks if you're going to get the kids into school shoes, new ones for this year. You accept the fact that you might have to buy maybe 2, perhaps even 3 pair, and make sure you get it properly fitted.
Yeah, look, most people get away with 2 pairs, and just make sure they get properly fitted so that, little Johnny doesn't get problems in later life.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.